Ashrei Yoshrei Veitecha, Ashrei, they are happy. My preoccupation with happiness is extremely Jewish and extremely biblical. I'm not saying all Jews are. When I say Jewish, I mean of Judaism, not of Jews. Jews and Judaism have a tangential relationship. Happy are those who dwell in your house. It is so true. Everybody knows that. Religious people are happier. Every poll shows it. So the non-religious say, well, it's because they delude themselves with this drug called religion. Okay, fine. But that's it. Why they're happier is another issue. Let's at least acknowledge the reality. Ashrei is correct. Happy are those who dwell in your house. That is entirely accurate. There's a gentleman here last night who came over to me, who's a rabbi not practicing, is here for the first time, who has a lot of troubles with God because he this man, is deeply disturbed by all the suffering in the world. And to his credit, I think we should all be disturbed by all the suffering in the world. But I often reflect on this. The people who gave us the Bible, and I believe God gave us the Torah, but ultimately a lot of the Bible is obviously through human intervention. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and so on, they saw at least as much suffering as we have. But they really believed. And that is always a very powerful answer in me when I think, well, all the suffering, can there be a God? Well, people saw a lot worse. It really is an irony that people become less God-believing as things get better. That's the irony. The most affluent, healthy people in history are alive now where we live in the Western world. And it is the most atheistic and secular in human history. So there's zero correlation between human suffering and atheism. In reality, it is the total opposite. The correlation is between humans doing well and atheism. Interesting, no? Why that is a separate question, but it is true. Affluence is the single greatest source of distance from God. Maybe people just then become convinced they don't need God. Maybe, but it's so absurd. The notion that you don't need God. How could that be? I mean, if there's no God, this is all a joke. I mean, it really is. It might be a pleasant joke for some, but it is. Pure coincidence. We're just, sort of a self-conscious stellar dust. I'll end with this. I once had for half a year a national television show. Any of you who saw it, it's almost like sighting a comet. And I knew it didn't have much of a life when they told me, you got to really boost your ratings with got to get some shows with scantily clad women. And I remember what I thought. And by the way, I'm a big fan of scantily clad women, just for the record. But I remember thinking, this is not why God gave me my gifts, to have a national show with scantily clad women. And I said no, and I'm not sure it would have saved the show. It was a great show, as it happens, by the way. I think there are a few videos of it on the internet. But one of the evenings I had, who was the most famous astronomer of this time? Say it again? Oh, Carl Sagan, good. So Carl Sagan was one of my guests. He was we don't have a star astronomer today like we did. He was a star. He was on television all the time. He was a good-looking guy. He was very articulate. And I'll never forget, we were both standing. He goes, Dennis, I just want to tell you, I look out into the cosmos. And the more I see, the more I realize how completely insignificant we are. And I remember pausing and thinking, that is beautiful. That's absurd. I mean, do you realize? That inspires you, Dr. Sagan? Every day you go to work and realize how insignificant human beings are. But if there's only a material world, of course we're insignificant. We are to the world an atom. We're the size of an atom, maybe a molecule, maybe. But the religious view is we're the center of the earth. We're the center of the world. We're the pinnacle of creation. It's a very big difference. If I looked in his telescope, I wouldn't see how insignificant we are. I would see the opposite. Look at that, all of that, and we're the only ones here. Man, are we special. You know, in yeshiva we learned, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. The world was made for me. That is a phrase every yeshiva kid learns. It's a beautiful way of looking at it. The world was created for you. That's the religious view. Sagan had the pagan view, if you will. We're nothing. And the more we know, the more nothing we are. So that's the beauty of taking God seriously, which is what Rosh Hashanah is about. So yes, this is true. Ashrei Yoshrei Veitecha. Happy are those who dwell in your house. It's beyond belief how good it is.